What's up, Speedy's Garage gang? Welcome back to Speedy's Garage. Today we are probably headed to our last track session for 2020. It's been kind of a weird year, and I honestly didn't think we were going to get to do many events. When the year started off, I was very excited about 2020 and what all we might be able to get accomplished for this racing season. And honestly, we did more racing than I thought we might be able to. We went a couple of times in March and then went and raced at the MHSH Modern Street Hemi Shootout, MSHS event in Clay City, Kentucky in June. It was a little bit warm, but we had a really good time. Then in September, we had Challenger Fest and then Mo Party. So we actually did quite a bit of racing this year. We're gonna go one more time to the track. No real agenda other than just to try to set a personal best. We really get our best weather in this area. We're gonna go up to Beach Bend, which is in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So that area of the country, March and November, we're really gonna have our best weather. I don't know what the DA is going to be tomorrow, but the weather's supposed to be, I think the high is like 62. It's supposed to be sunny. So what you really want for a really good personal best, weather scenario is you're looking for cool, dry air with sun on the track. So the cooler the air can be, but the warmer the track is, so you can get some traction. That'll be our big question mark tomorrow, is how much traction we're gonna get. I've got a couple of tunes I'm gonna try. Mike showed me that little trick. If you were watching the Challenger Fest and the Mo Party video, I'll link to that to the top. He gave me a little tip on the tuning to help get the car off the line, and it seemed to work very well. I'm not gonna make any predictions, but it ran a 984 in, I think it was about 2,000 DA. So I don't know what the DA is gonna be tomorrow, but it's not gonna be 2,000. I would suspect we're gonna be 1,000 or under. And for every 1,000 feet of DA, we pick up about a 1/10. So we're gonna hopefully set a personal best in the car and end off 2020 on a positive note. I always lay out all my stuff so I know I'm not forgetting anything. We're gonna load the car up. Crew Chief Greg will be here in a minute. Let's get to Beach Bend. And a lot of people will ask me, what tire pressure do I run in my Mickey Thompson ET Street R's and in the front M&H front runners? And my answer is I run the maximum pressure on the rear tires that the track will hold. Tomorrow's a test and tune day. I don't know how well the track prep will be, so I'll go from there. I usually start off around 18 to 20 PSI, and then I just adjust it. If it's hooking up at 20, I'll add a little bit more. The more pressure you can run, the faster the car will be, but you don't want to sacrifice your 60 foot. So if I start slipping off the line, and I definitely don't want to waste a run. That really is more frustrating to me than anything, is if I pull up to the line, wait in the staging lanes, and then I spin, I'm aggravated because it's wasted time. And I want to get the most out of each run. So I'm going to start off on the lower side tomorrow, see how they do, and then I will add pressure if the track will hold it. On the fronts, I set them to the maximum. Whatever it is on the sidewall, I think these maybe are 35 or 40 PSI, so I will set them at that max pressure that tire is rated for. Yeah, I'm digging this new tire pressure gauge. Works great, nice and quick and easy, but more on that later. All right, we're at Beach Bend. We got Chad and his 6-speed Hellcat, very fast. Another one. Got Go Man Go ready to go, cooling off. Crew Chief Greg. And Dr. Phil. We got a little worried. It was soggy when we got here. A completely unexpected little rain shower. Things have dried off now. The sun's out. DA's looking pretty good, so hopefully they got the track ready to go any minute. All right, I'm in the staging lanes for my first pass. You guys have been watching the channel for a while. I always get a little bit jittery on my first run. So I want to get the first run jitters out of the way. Keep our fingers crossed everything goes well. I got a few cars in front of me on race tires, so hopefully we're good to go. Get the track, warmed up just a little bitty bit before we go really wail on it. Had to check in with Crew Chief Greg there for a minute. He's right behind me, so we're gonna both go ahead and make our first runs of the day. All right, here we go. First pass. Up against a race car, it's always fun. Can't even hear mine running. a little bit worried with it being cloudy. The track's gonna be a little questionable. And I got my low traction tune in the car, so I had to get off and on.
You gotta be speedy.
Thank you. Let's see. We had a 166 60 foot, a 10-1 at 137. So we can do better than that for sure. All right, here we go. Second test pass. I hope for a little bit better launch this go round. Off the line, I don't know. Sunroof didn't open all the way up, so it was just so-so on the launch. Thank you.
Got some junior dragsters that need that lane.
10-0 at 137.5. We had a 159 60 foot, so the track's just not there today. The weather been off and on, sprinkling rain. I'm gonna pack it up. There's no sense beating on it when the track's just not gonna be there for us today. So we're gonna pack it up and head back to Middle Tennessee. There's the time slip. Kind of a disappointing day if I'm honest, but you know, they can't all be awesome. It's just how it is. So I'm back at the shop, and as always, it's the next day. I like to come back, as you guys have been following along for a while, you know, I like to take a look at my data logs and my time slips and kind of see what was going on. What I'm going to tell you is this was probably one of the most frustrating days I've spent at the track in a very long time. We had checked the weather forecast, and we just don't get that many really good weather days DA wise in this part of the country. I'm in the mid-south, I guess you would call it, and typically when I'm at the track, the DA is going to be 2,000 plus or more. And about 3 times a year, I might get the opportunity where the weather's going to be nice, the temperatures are going to be right, and the track is going to be not super crowded, that I can go and try to set a personal best in the exact conditions I need. And that's only going to happen usually in March or November. Sometimes in April if we're really lucky with the weather, but usually it's either March or November. Beach Bend is very close to a river. That's the reason it's called Beach Bend. And so if you have any weather problems, like rain for example, it can really impact the track for a few days. And in this situation, the weather forecast, we were watching it because it was either this weekend or the following weekend is the last one of the year, and we're in late November. And at first it was supposed to rain, and then there was no rain, but it was going to be 70 something degrees, which is really weird this time of year. It's usually in the 50s. And then finally they started to kind of dial in the forecast, and you have to really check it the day before around here because they just can't seem to predict. I don't know if it's something with where we're at in a valley or in a bowl or what, but, and I'm rambling because I'm a little frustrated, but the weather, it's very difficult, it seems, for the forecasters to get an accurate forecast in this area. That's one of the reasons we struggle with Challenger Fest a little bit. You just almost can't ever know. So in this situation, we checked it on Thursday. The weather was calling now for a high of 62 degrees, and that would happen later in the afternoon, obviously. And so that meant that in the morning it should be cool. They weren't calling for any rain. I think it was a 5% chance or something like that, and it was 5% all day Saturday until like 3 a.m. Sunday, where it some kind of cold front was coming through and it went up to 50%. So 5% chance of rain's pretty good. We made the decision to go ahead and go this weekend to try to get our personal best. We already know what the car's gonna run in 70, 80 degree weather. We've been racing all summer. The car's very consistent on its current configuration. We know what it's gonna do. I was trying to set a personal best in some good weather. So we load up, we do the effort, get the car ready, and it's work. Those of you that go to the track, you know what's involved. You have to prep the car, get your fuel. Greg, converted his car over, loaded up on the trailer. We decided we're gonna head up there, and it takes some effort to make that happen. Well, we get on the highway, and Bowling Green's about 90 minutes away. As we come into Bowling Green, it's dark, it's cloudy. The roads start to become wet. And I'm like, this isn't good. And Beach Bend, like I mentioned, is close to a river. Once it rains on that track, it just is really hard unless the sun immediately comes out and stays sunny the rest of the day. The track just never really comes around. I'm assuming that this was 12:41. That means I had the car in the staging lanes at 11:15, so I waited an hour and a half before I got to make my first pass. So hour and a half in the staging lanes. I get up there and I go, and the car spins. So I loaded it up to, looking at my data log, about 1300 RPM, which should have been fine. I had my lowest traction tune in the car. I launch, and it breaks the tires loose. Bad. It almost started the wheel hop, so I had to get off the throttle, get back on it again. I had a 1.666 60 foot, a eighth mile of 6.644 at 111.79 miles an hour. So the mile per hour is good, but spinning ain't winning. I had a 10.140 at 137.69 miles an hour. So now I'm kind of aggravated because I sat 90 minutes in the staging lanes before I make my first pass, and I spin, so it's basically useless other than being able to get some data. The data log, other than the spinning, everything looked great. Line up for my second pass. It was a solo run, nobody next to me. The first pass I had a drag car next to me, so the reaction time was a 0.91 because I literally sat and waited for him to go. But anyway, second pass, 0.244 reaction time, which is just okay. I could have done better, but I was really focused on just rolling into the throttle to try to see what was gonna happen. And I got a data log of that too. Again, it spun. I had a 1.59 60 foot, and anything more than a 151 in this car just isn't getting it done. I had a 651 to the 8. So even though the 60 foot was 0.07 difference, so only a 7/700ths of a second, it made a tenth of a second of a difference at the, or a 0.13 actually, so better than a tenth at the 8th. So I had a 6.517. Mile per hour was almost exactly the same, 111.94 to 111.79. And then a quarter mile an hour was 10.13 better. So 10.012 at 137.5. So you see, the mile per hour is almost exactly the same, just a tenth of a mile per hour difference, but the run was 0.13 better because I had a 0.07 better 60 foot. So the 60 foot's where it's at. I was very disappointed. I was hoping to run a 9.7 or maybe even lucky and run a 9.6 at the track. You see, I tried to do what they call the go and go, right? Or the tap and go, or whatever you want to call it, but it's a 2-stage throttle input. I tried that technique, still didn't work. And this is, again, my lowest traction tune. I'm pulling like 100 horsepower out of the car at the launch. Maybe more than that, maybe more than 100. But as soon as I went wide open throttle, car spins, and you can hear it in the video. I'll show you that now. So you heard that, tires break loose. Once you spin, that's it. So anything more than about a 151 60 foot, I'm not gonna run in the 9s. Definitely not gonna set a personal best. And I guess at the end of the day, I shouldn't be complaining. I've always said my goal was for the car to run 10.0s in any weather or any conditions, and these were terrible conditions, to be honest. By the time we made the second pass, the DA was like 1800. And this time of year, it should have been 100, maybe negative 200 if I was really lucky, and I would have run, maybe run some good times. So disappointing, frustrating day. very crowded, only got to make 2 passes. And here's how it works at the track. Usually your first pass, or at least mine, is throwaway. I'm getting to know the track. Usually something doesn't go quite right, so that's throwaway pass. My second pass is usually where I'm gonna learn something. So I'll make my second pass, I can make an adjustment or a tune, test and tune's what they call it. I can make an adjustment on that second pass. My third pass is usually to confirm what I changed from my second pass. Did I go faster? Did I go slower? Did I run the same? Depending on the outcome of that, I might make one more little tweak and I'll make a 4th pass, and that one I'll compare to the 3rd pass. Did I go faster, the slower, or the same? And that's how you kind of dial in the car for the conditions and what's going on, and that's how you figure it out. If I get a 5th run, that's just gravy. And I went back and looked at this time last year. So we actually went to the track last year and I ran a 983. Almost the exact same weekend. It was November 17th or something, 2019. I made 5 passes and I was able to tweak the car and dial it in. And it's because it wasn't a crazy hectic day. It sprinkled on us on the middle of the day yesterday. And so that, they had to dry the track off again. Took them, another 45 minutes or whatever, and ate into the time. And again, with the time change and the way the daylight is, Beach Bend, they won't turn the lights on usually on a test and tune. So when it gets dark, that's it. So after I made my second pass, you guys saw I was frustrated. We packed it up and headed home, ran a 10-0. Plans over the winter, I've got to figure out something to make it where my 60 foots aren't held hostage by track conditions. I'm gonna try to find out a way that I can get into the low 1.5 or better yet, low 1.4 60 foots, regardless of what's going on at the track. I don't really want to do a 15-inch conversion on the car. I like my brakes and I don't want to have to do anything like that. I'm probably going to look at some suspension changes perhaps, maybe some shocks and maybe some trailing arms or something like that. So that's really the direction I'm headed. But a very frustrating day at the track. They can't all be stellar, I guess. This is how we learn. But that's how it goes. That's how it went. I wanted to share that with you guys. And HP tuners, I'm glad I can get good data. I can look at these logs, try to figure out, the tune I think is spot on for the race gas. Everything else I'm gonna leave pretty much alone. I even used the trick Mike showed me from Challenger Fest and Mo Party, where it takes some power out down low and then feeds it in back up to the top. Still couldn't get it done. So I've got to start making some more changes to the car to improve that 60 foot. So that's it. Hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe if you haven't already. Check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedys_garage, as well as our website, www.speedysgarage.net. And hopefully, I'll see you out there.